Hello everyone, welcome to another stream. How are you doing? Welcome. Assalamu alaikum. All right, let's disable these ones. How is everyone doing? Welcome to the stream. Today we are going to continue working on the PulseChecker product. We did perform some migrations last time, and those seemed good, at least on localhost. So we're going to continue working on those today, and we're going to also potentially, if everything looks good, then we are going to create some we might just migrate to production. We'll see, no promises, but we'll try to cover as much as possible today. I'm gonna also try to decrease the light a bit. Give me 1 second. So I think it's a bit too much. Oh god, let's bring to 3. Yeah, maybe something like this, or a bit brighter, from 3 to maybe 5. 5 seems good. How are you doing, everyone? What are you working on these days? I'm going to switch to this quickly. And last time we looked into PHP my admin. Last time we did look into the migration that we did, and we also created the questions for all the projects. We created both the paste question and the comment question. We did not create any responses for the paste and the comment, so we are going to do that today. Let's have a quick look at the PHP my admin as well. So in here we did look into, I'm going to close the ones that I don't need. Dashboard, properties, SQL, set it. I don't think we need any of those, to be honest. Let's close all of them. So we needed to, let's do a select. Maybe Docker is not running at the moment. Yeah, looks like it's not running. And let me also turn in that as well. And let's see, let's change this to don't be shy, ask your questions in the chat. Hey Lee, how's it going? As you were just writing it, I changed the text. How's it going? By the way, if you I don't know if you saw the post, maybe you did not, but unfortunately this happened. So this guy unfortunately is dead. I am not sure what happened to this, but I'm pretty sure it was something in my bag that pressurized it a bit, and now I have to look for one more. But it was fun while it lasted. I mean, the screen still works somehow. I can see some things changing, but in general, it's unfortunately it's dead. Yeah, I actually really liked it. I loved it, to be honest. Really liked it. It's unfortunate, but I have that still on my desk. We'll see. And now, since the Black Friday is over, the normal Kindle went from, I think, 1600 crowns to 1930 or something. So a 300, almost 300 ish difference. I'm holding myself for now, as I might have to book some flights. So I'm holding myself at the moment. Let's see. We'll see how that goes. But how are you doing? How's your project going? This look like something put yeah, exactly. It looks like something, yeah, something put a lot of pressure on the screen itself. The screen is still, I mean, I can see when I press the buttons, I can see that something's happening on the screen, but it's not visible. And I think if I'm correct, it's, if I try to get it fixed, it's gonna cost more than what I bought it for, or more even. Not sure. So I'm just pulling my hands from there. But it was really good. The battery, I had to change the battery, but after changing the battery, everything was super buttery smooth. Really liked it. I think this is I do believe this is still one of the best Kindles out there. No light, no pressure on the eyes. Absolutely amazing. Okay. Since we also so I'm gonna remind the viewers what we are trying to do so you know what we are actually building at the moment. Wait, what happened to this guy? I think it's because my server is dead. Let's see. PM start. Da, da, da. So right now we are in the process of migrating some tables from PulseChecker. I showed in my last stream as well that we have a Prisma schema that we are trying to modify a bit. Previously we had some things just there abruptly, so we are actually trying to get rid of some tables like feedback rating, and session rating are the ones we are trying to get rid of. Feedback rating, feedback, and session rating, these three. So we are trying to get rid of these three, and we are replacing them with question and responses. So far what we have been able to do. What happened to this guy? mm, do you also see what I see? What's happening? Oh, because disable cache, no throttling. What happened? No need to regular TTF. Where am I setting that? Or is it even running at that port? Let's first double check that our front end is actually running at localhost 4200. Yeah, it is. Then what happened to this guy? That's, that's totally weird. If I close, so is it something with the cache? No throttling, disable cache. I'm pretty sure I did change something in here that I can't see now. Maybe I'm mocking something that I don't recall. Request may be overridden locally. Exactly. So what am I overriding? I do remember looking into the blocked request. No, not the block request, but the ones that I'm overriding. Show all overrides. That's the one. So in the overrides, I'm looking into override header. Show. I think this is the one. Remove from ignore list. Which one is this doing? Injection render. Let's see. Okay, that's weird. I'm gonna look into it later, but that's fine. Lee says messages are coming through quite slowly. I did get let go, so I'm making myself public on LinkedIn. Ah, okay. That's unfortunate, but okay. Actually, call me. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be long at all. Just keep me in the loop. So whenever you're creating something, just tag me as well, so I can also post or repost as well. But for sure, I don't think it's gonna take much time. A lot of people have found jobs really quickly, and I think the market is changing as well. So I have no doubts or any worries, to be honest, regarding you. So it's not gonna be long. Alrighty. So what we are trying to do is we have these questions. These essentially were part of the session before, or not part of the session. These are session ratings. which we have right here. The responses against these are actually feedback ratings. Pretty bad name, but that's what I picked. Then we also have these pace and the pace and the comment. They are then part of the feedback. So session rating, feedback rating, and feedback. These three things actually combine all of these fields. And now, if I want to have like a fourth kind of question or field, I can't do it because that's how I structured my database before. But now that I have time, I can actually make it much better. So what we have done so far is, for every project that we have, we are taking out these things which are right now related directly to the session. So this one is related to session, so we have a session ID. This one is related to a session, so we have a session ID, and this also is related to the session. But I'm taking these questions out because if I have 10 different sessions, and all of those sessions essentially have, I'm not really even sure if we should call it session or meeting or event. I'm not really sure what to name it, but right now I'm calling it session. If you have any ideas on what we could call it, because I am imagining this could be a conference talk, this could be, I don't know, this could be a meeting, this could be, regarding some library or something that you have created, you want to get feedback on, or just your demo, whatever. I'm not really sure if session is the right name. Internally in the database, it could still be called session, or I don't know, entity, or I don't know, event. But if you have any better suggestion, let me know. TypeScript Tea Time, hey, how's it going? Thank you so much for the raid. Thank you, and welcome everyone. Welcome raiders, how are you doing today? What did you stream about? What were you doing? So what I've done so far is, at least on local, we are working right now on a script, which should not be this one. So we are working on a script at the moment, which creates the default sort of questions for existing projects that we have at the moment. So the ones who are actually there do not really break at the moment. The plan is to decouple each question that you see here. So for example, this first field is a question, quality of content is a question, the pace is a question, the comment itself is a question. So we want to take these out from sessions, decouple them, and move them towards projects. Because if I go here, for example, to the dashboard, all of these things that we have right now are inside a default project, which you can see in the reports, for example. In the future, we are looking at having, for example, multiple projects, but right now we only have every person who creates any session inside this app has one single project. So the idea is to bind those questions to a project. So when I'm creating a new session, for example, let's say this is the session. If I want to create a new question at the moment, I would have to create a brand new question in the database, which feels duplicative, because if I'm a lecturer in a university or an institute, I would have to do the same thing over and over again. Whereas this could be just a drop down that could select an existing question that is inside our project. So each project has a lot of sessions. Each session belongs to a project. And I'm looking to have these questions on the project level. So each session can inherit from that. That's what I'm looking at. Awash says, not bad, he was converting his project into monorepo. Ooh, nice. Were you using NX or something else? And if it was NX, what was your experience? NX, yeah, got you. I recently converted my whole recipe, actually. I'm gonna show you. So this is, I got my second book published on December 29th, very recently. And this book, the first book, which was published, I think about 400 days ago, because I saw the dashboard recently, so I remember the numbers. This had 80 projects, 80 Angular projects. And I could not get the time to update all those 80 projects when the Angular team released a new version. So what I did for the second edition, which got just released, we have now NX repositories. Instead of 80 projects, now we have 2 projects. One is start, which is a monorepo containing all the apps, and then one is the final state of all those apps. So we have 2 monorepositories instead of 80 projects. So now when the Angular version updates, it's going to be much more easier for me just to update for all the readers out there. And yeah, this is the repository. It seems like the people have started using it. So already 4 stars, amazing. It looks like people have started using it. So this is what we have right now: a final and a start. And there's also one interesting thing that I need to do with this mono repository, but I'm going to talk about that maybe in the future streams. I need to create my own schematics to update all the projects and change some HTML in them once and for all. So it's going to be fun, but maybe not at the moment. We'll see. I guess you like Angular. Great question. I'm going to show you something. Maybe you can't see. Oh, let's see. No, there's a chat in there. Let's see if I can show this. Do you see that logo right there? That's the Google Developers Expert logo. So I'm actually a GDE, a Google Developers Expert in Angular for the past 5 years. So yes, I like Angular. It's really good. It's really cool. Ahmed Qadir. Hey, how's it going, Ahmed? How are you doing? You got your own project using Turbo and you like it so far. That's amazing. Isn't NestJS using... No, that's Turbo Pack, not Turbo. Is Turbo also a monorepository tool? Make ship happen. Incremental builder and build system optimized for JavaScript, blah, blah, blah. Aha, okay. Interesting. Who uses Turbo at the moment? Vercel uses it. Interesting. Ah, okay. Got you. Karthik, hey, how's it going? Munib Khan is asking, do you watch Primogen? Yes, I do. I watch Primogen, I watch Theo, a couple of those people. Awesome, yeah. It looks really nice. But I haven't given it a try yet. We'll look into it. Oh, I didn't know that this was built by Rust. Interesting. Cool. But what cool projects are you folks working on? And in the meantime, I'll also try to make progress on this one as well. So we do have the next stuff for us is actually right now we've got questions per project level. So if I show you the PHP MyAdmin in our local database, we do have the questions created. So one per project, and you can see the project ID right there as well. So we do have question created per project, 2 questions. One is comment and one is signals, because right now each existing session has at least these signals and the comments. These questions are sort of additional, so we'll look into these as well. But then we are talking about touching both the session rating and then the feedback rating. So my strategy right now is to go through the questions first, so we can create all these questions at the moment. Then we will also create the answers, and then we'll migrate from the old database tables to the new one, and then we'll ship it to production. Otherwise, obviously everything breaks, and we don't want that. We have actually people using this, so we'll look into it. Karthik says, I'm a beginner in Angular. Any advice on how to be good in that? I think you can look into... No, before the shameless marketing, I think I'm going to show you the official one. So look into angular.dev. This is a new site that the Angular team has built, and the documentation and tutorials are really, really good. So I would encourage you to look into this tutorial while you go through the whole experience and see, the Angular or the core concepts of Angular. That would be my suggestion. If you want to pay and learn for advanced Angular stuff, which I don't think you're at the level at the moment. You should also look into, this is from where I learned a lot, um, when I was not a Google developers expert. So Ultimate Courses has Angular courses by Todd Motto, amazing instructor. I really really liked his courses, to be honest. So do this, but if you can manage Karthik, and if you can get a book, then I would recommend you to get the Angular Cookbook. Ooh, this is interesting. Number one new release in JavaScript programming. That's pretty nice. I'm not really sure if people, because I saw some people actually bought it, but I don't see any rating. How is this number one release in JavaScript at so fast? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they're seeing the analytics or the viewership or something like that. But I'm gonna take a screenshot. Interesting. But this is a really really good book. I've spent over 11 months writing this book and creating all the projects, all the cool projects that you learn while you're working on these. Super amazing. So Karthik, if you want, you can click the link and you should be able to get it. Asan Durani, hey, how's it going? How are you, Asan? All right, let's see. So now that we have created the pace and the question, let's have a look at creating the responses for the pace and the comment for each session. That means that we will have to, because each question, let's have a look at the question as well. Da 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 da. Migrate feedback and Prisma as well. As a beginner in Angular, would you recommend starting with 16 or 17? Lee, I would say start with 17. So you should, as a learner, you should always be using the latest version, regardless of being able to use all the latest features or not. But you should still be at the latest version, I think. The thing is, the concepts have not changed. So what was in Angular 4 would still be true in Angular 17. And there would be more features coming in, and mostly in these versions what changes is new features come in, but internal aspects of the compiler, the view engine, or some functions that are super complex and not used by, let's say, 17, or not 17 but 70 to 75% of the people, those ones change. But Angular team always provides schematics, so when you update from 16 to 17 automatically via the process, you get the updates all the or automatically. So start with 17 in short. Asan Durain says, sir, I'm a front-end developer. Awesome. What kind of projects are you working on? What are you working on these days? And let's create a function. So we do create the create pace question. We do have a function for getting projects, create comment question. Now let's create a function for creating the answer. So create responses for pace and comment, right? Let's say that we want to go into each session. I'm thinking now, how would we do it? So right now we have sessions, and then we have feedbacks against those sessions, and each feedback contains the information of comment and pace. So if I go to feedback, each feedback contains the pace, which is the signal value, and also contains the comment. So we can actually look at each feedback, which session it is against. Then we can bring the comment and the pace from that session, or from the project, and then we would be able to do it. So yeah, that's what we need to do. Sure, Asan, go ahead. Ask the question. Okay, so this I think also still needs to have the project. I think. So here it is. So Because this should not impact anything and I only need to run the migration once, I think it's safe if I delete the questions and I do it all at once, right? So what should happen is I create the comment question, I create the paste question, right? So this is what I'm doing at the moment. So what I should be doing is I'm trying to distribute the logic for this, because we have two different kind of things. We have the comment and paste, and then we have the fields. Okay, so let's go with comment and paste. So here we can say comment and paste. Now comment and paste should receive a project. So here I'm going to create a function that then passes or then uses all of these. So const create comment and paste Q&A. This receives a project which is going to be of type projects, and inside this we have this. We should also have this function as async. Sir, I have to ask something. What else should I learn in front end? Can I share it? What have you learned so far? Can you share that in the chat? What have you learned so far, and what kind of projects have you built so far? If you can share the link in the chat, that would be awesome. So now I can say await, and here I can pass the project. So what should happen at the moment is I will go and first I will create a comment question. Am I returning the comment as well? Paste question, no. So let's also return the paste question. Then we'll also return the comment question as well. Comment question. We'll receive them right here. So let's say let I'm thinking, are these needed then at all? No, I don't think so. So let's do it like this. Const comment question equals await create comment question. Then this one can be paste question. So here we can say const paste question equals await this. Now that we have this, we need to see the feedbacks. So that means we also, when we are requesting the projects, we need to get all the session, including their rating configs and ratings, but then also we need the feedbacks as well. This is what we want. Once we have the feedbacks of those projects, then we can go inside and run it. So we're gonna look into here and we can say const responses equal, and then we can say await create responses for paste and comment, which should receive a project, but more things as well. For example, the comment question is of type, I mean, it is essentially of type comment. So this one should receive a question comment. Wait a second. I'm going to bring in the type. So this one has a question comment. Let's see. So here it should say that it should have a comment question with config, and then it should also have paste question with config. So let's say comment question. Now I have duplicates. Wait a second. What am I doing? This is wrong. Should not be here. It should be here. Project, project, and this. Cool. Now here I can pass the comment question and paste question. And this should be fine, I think. Why does this complain? With question with config. I mean, then I should also be exporting these as well. So export type, because then I know I will be using them. So instead of this guy that we have, we should say question comment and question paste. Do we have a question with question signals? Let's import this guy and as question comment as question signals. Okay, this looks much better. So now we'll debug it, and before this code runs, we'll just look into if feedback has everything. So I'm gonna run this now. Let's see. So scripts, migrate feedback, run. Let's see. So we have at least 2 projects at the moment. So let's bring the projects. Okay, so each project right now, this is the first, this is the second. The first project has more information. So it has 11 sessions, as you can see. The first session should also have feedback. There you go. We have feedbacks in there. Each feedback should have the session ID, the pace, and the comment, as you can see, right? So this means I can go and say, and this should also have rating configs and then the ratings inside as well. So let's see the final. I think I have the session that is one of the end ones, which is Rapid API host. So this one has rating configs, 2 questions that we saw. The first one was first field, which is this one. And the second one is quality of the content. So we're gonna look into, can we watch it? We can say projects or projects. Yeah, projects 0. And then we can open sessions. And then we can open last session. We can open rating config. The first question is first field. The second one is quality of the content. This has 2 ratings at the moment. And then we have, so the rating is this one. So this is the attendee who has given the rating. The score is 7 stars out of 10. And we have session rating ID, which relates to the question ID, blah, blah, blah. So this is what we need to do. Abdurrahman Ujan. Hey, how's it going, Abdurrahman? Ahsan Durani says, tell us about head up canvas. I have no idea what is head up canvas. I have no idea. So we go inside there, we create a comment question, we create a paste question, and then we also create responses for this. How do we navigate to the responses in this case? First of all, we need to get out only all the feedbacks of each project. So we need to say something like const feedbacks, but should we just not do a query of all the feedbacks instead of I'm thinking, do I make a query or do I just use the query that I already do for the projects? That's what I'm thinking at the moment. Because I also have then projects that do not really have any feedbacks. We'll see. Do you know PHP? Yeah, I've worked with PHP just a bit. I don't know about it too much, and that was also like 7 years ago. So I'm not very fresh with my PHP knowledge. So feedbacks. we could just do a simple query, to be honest, for feedback. To be honest, I think we should do a simple query instead of the project thingy, to be honest. So this query can then be very, very simple, right? So then we don't even need the sessions, to be honest. So let's get rid of this. So we get all the projects, right? Then we should get all the feedbacks. So here we can then do await prisma dot feedback dot find many, right? We get many feedback, but then we should also do include. Each feedback should have its session included, because then we can look at session and we can also look at the project ID, so we can sort of merge those together, right? So we have feedbacks that we have right here. We're just gonna do a console.log of the feedbacks. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to comment these. If I don't create them, then I won't have them. But then I don't really need to have, okay, we'll see. So in this case, can I do null as question? No. But what if I I don't want to do this, but I will do this anyways. But then I would have to I don't want to create anything, but still. Okay, how about we just return a promise dot resolve, something like this. Would this cry? No. Okay, so then good. So we can, and this is how you can put a sort of a hack in the code. So we are resolving a dummy information at the moment. Create a PS question, doesn't do anything. Create a comment question, doesn't do anything. And then we have the feedback. So I'm going to put a breakpoint right here, and we'll see what happens when we try to request this. So let's refresh. I'm stuck with a problem in PHP since morning. I have a JS function which is called when user clicks on a city while selecting a city, but the data is coming from DB using PHP. I need to set a different query for different cities. I don't know if I can help. I would suggest to use ChatGPT if you're asking for help and you don't find a person who can help you out. So look into ChatGPT, to be honest. But refine your question properly so you get the right answer. Okay, so it goes inside this, resolves the promise, goes outside, goes inside, resolves the dummy promise, goes inside, tries to get all the feedbacks, and each feedback right now has a session, and each session has a project ID. Okay, so this is what we want. I also saw a new function in JavaScript that was group by. JavaScript array group by. I think we can use that, object.group by. So this one is available in Chrome, Firefox, Safari, not really. So then I need to just use an array, and I can use inventory and then type equals to type. Okay, so I just need to give it a key. Okay, so then I can simply say something like in here I can say const grouped feedbacks equals feedbacks dot group by. Doesn't it give it? Oh, object.group by, my bad. Object.group by, and then I can give this an array that should be feedbacks, and then a function that looks like this. it doesn't like it. Why? It's using the ES5. Why? Why though? Hey Rochak, hey, how's it going? So let's have a look at the TS config. Why does it focus on ES5 though? Oh, the target here is ES5, that's why. So ES next, we can change it to that. We might have to restart. Let's see. I'm gonna still save this guy, stop it, go out, come back. That's weird. If I look at this again, does it go to ES5 still? So it goes to app data, local programs, VS Code, resources, extensions, zone modules, TypeScript, lib, es5.d.ts. The extension, TypeScript restart TS server. Let's see. Still doesn't like it. I'm not sure if I should try to quit and restart or not. Oh, let's give it a try. Because otherwise I would have to Google why this group by doesn't like me. Because the base JSON should have fixed it, to be honest. Nope, doesn't like it. Object.group by error VS Code. One lame question, which is good, React.js or Angular? It's up to you. If you try out both and you try to look into which one you like more, I think that's what's better. Because then you also have different questions like, I don't know, if you're looking at performance, then it's almost no difference between both. If you're looking at scalability, also not a huge difference. If you look at organizational structure, TypeScript support, being a framework, a lot of those things, I personally like Angular much more when it comes to scalability and switching different teams, because I've seen 4 different members in a React app or React project completely coding in a different style. With Angular, that's not usually the case. If you switch from one team to another, you're going to find very similar code and very similar mindset, because React is a tiny library, Angular is a framework. And it's not a lame question. Feel free to ask any questions. Scarlett, hey, how's it going? The stream is going good. I'm looking into I was looking into the group by thingy, which should be working in the ES next, but it doesn't. So I'm looking into why VS Code complains about it, but we are in the process of migrating some database tables. So these fields that you see right here, we are migrating them from the session itself because they exist at the moment as a feedback of the session. We want to take them out from here and move them up a bit in the database hierarchy. So decoupling them from the session and moving them to the project, because the project is a parent of all the sessions. So that's what we are looking at the moment. So if this doesn't work, then I'm just going to group them manually, which sucks. But yeah, we could do that anyways. So how I'm going to try to look into JavaScript new or object.group by in TypeScript. TS, nope. Uh, uh, uh. This if you need to group elements using a key that is some arbitrary value, use a map.groupby. Do we have a map.groupby? Not really. Or should we have a map? No. Syntax is object dot. Do you stream daily or what's best works for your schedule? I try to stream in the evenings. I'm not streaming daily because I have a 9 to 5 job at the moment, and I also have my wife and kid that I spend time with if I'm not working. But these days they are not here in Sweden. Hey, so I have some free time, and I also have this cool project to work on. But to be honest, my schedule would look like Saturdays, mainly Saturdays. I was heavily invested in working on my Angular Cookbook that recently got launched December the 29th. And yeah, it took almost all the time from me for the past 10 months, which was interesting, so to say. So I'm finding a lot more time now. So I think I'm going to be able to do a weekly stream, especially on Saturdays. But if time allowed, then I'll just hop in between sometimes as well. But majorly after 5 p.m. Central Eastern Time. How about you? Do you stream? And if yes, what kind of streams do you do? Okay, so we have the polyfill by Code.js that we could use. But I don't see, yeah, I don't see the possibility of using it in here. So let's do this. Let's create a should we create a we can create a record as well. We can also create a map as well. It's up to us, to be honest. um the idea would still be to group these sessions or these feedbacks by project ID. So let's create a map. So we can say projects map equals new map, and we're going to map against project ID versus we're going to have a feedback. So the feedback right now here is this, but we could simply say a feedback. um this would have one problem, but I'm thinking about it because each feedback has a session. The session contains project ID, but we don't really need to use the session in here. So I'm not worried about the nested types. Siddharth Kumar, hi, and where are you from? I'm originally from Karachi, Pakistan. Where are you from? Scarlett says, do you play any other games? I do play Dota 2. I used to play Apex Legends before, but I don't anymore. So when I get some time, I play Dota. How about you? So let's quickly go through feedbacks. So we can say for, or we can say feedbacks dot for each. Let's quickly run a for each to group them by project ID. And then we can also look into, because what we want to do, or even maybe we don't even need the map. So for each feedback that we have, we need to create a response against the question for that project. So in this case, we are going to say, let's even remove the map. And here we can say we have a feedback. And in here we can say we need to create a particular, let's actually use a for loop. For let I equals to 0, I less than feedbacks dot length, and I plus plus. We can also say const feedback equals feedbacks I, and here we can now run a response creation for each comment and paste question. So here we can say something like const, or actually we should have an array first. So const responses equals, or this should be an array of response, and this response should actually come from, no, this is not the response I'm looking for. The response I'm looking for should actually be in here from Prisma. So here we should have a response. Let's call it response. So the responses is right here. Then what we need to do is say response equals await Prisma dot response dot create, and then in the creation we can then use the project ID and then the question ID as well. So here we can say we need to create two responses, one for paste and one for comment. So here we can say comment response equals, and then here we can say data, and the data would contain what exactly? So if you look at the response, each response should have, I mean, I could just go to the Prisma. So each response has to have a session ID, attendee ID, question ID, and that's it. The other things are just default, and the content as well. The content can have a value of int, string, or an array of strings. That's what I'm looking at. So then I can simply go ahead and say in here we should have a question ID that should be since we are creating a comment response, so this should be a comment question dot response, no sorry, ID. Then we should also have the content. The content would have value, and the value should be this feedback that we have got dot comment. Is this comment? Yes, this is comment. Then we should also have a session ID, which is going to be feedback dot session ID. I don't even know why were we looking for a project ID. It doesn't make sense anymore. But okay, so we have that. What is missing? Attendee ID. So attendee ID should be feedback dot attendee ID, and there we go. We got this comment response created. Not too bad. Now we can also say the same thing for the paste response, right? For the paste, we need to change the value to feedback dot paste, which is essentially the value as in slow, good, bad. That would be the value in this case. Or null. Now that I think about it, you always have to provide a value in that case. So if it's not there, I want to use paste dot good. To be honest, at the moment, I'll just use the good one. Okay. So we got the comment response, we got the paste response. Let's quickly push that. So responses equals responses, and then we can add a comment response and a paste response. Cool, not too bad. We can also make this guy a let instead of const, since we are actually overriding it. And let's initiate this with an empty array. What? Why do you cry? Ah, okay. So as response and as response. Is it not what you were looking at? Ah, okay. Sorry, my bad. Then this is not required as well. Okay, so I think this looks promising. So we are creating now one response for each particular question, whether it's a comment or whether it's a paste. So if everything is right here, then we should have a lot of comments or a lot of responses created for both paste and other stuff as well. But I'm gonna put a breakpoint so we can go through that and look at that as well. So let's quickly go to our database, and we're going to actually delete all of the stuff. So if I go here, I can basically say question is gonna have a scripts and delete. So here I'm going to delete all the questions that we have. So we deleted 4 questions, and this is local, so I'm not worried about this. Now I can also go and basically remove these. And then finally, when we have the responses, I also need to just return the responses. And then I should be able to also console log the responses. I think we're good. Let's have a look. Takbir says, hi Ahsan, I'm from Islamabad working as a full stack NestJS, React.js. I want to learn testing as well for NestJS. Any good suggestions? I would suggest looking into something called Super Test. So I'm going to share this link with you, but you can essentially search more links, of course, as well. Let's have a look. I'm pretty sure NestJS comes out of the box with testing. Yeah, it does. So if you look at, I'm not sure if I've written any tests, to be honest, when it comes to the backend. I do remember writing some of the classes or some of the tests, but I don't think I've done it along the way because this started as a hackathon, so it wasn't taken too seriously when it came to testing. Yeah, I mean, no, yeah, what I would do is I would do it first myself, and then I'll create a video about this. But it depends on what kind of application do you have. If you have a complex application, it makes it complex, but if you have simple applications, then you can test them easily as well. If you're Yeah, I don't think so I have one on NestJS at the moment, so can't help much. But look into this, the fundamentals testing of NestJS. I think this should give you a lot of good details. More or less, it's the same thing. You would be mocking some implementations, you would be mocking some data, and you would be expecting certain things to happen or certain functions to be called or not, or certain response to come back or not. You would also be in here, you would also potentially give some mock services as well, but let's not go into that at the moment because then I would be distracted. Okay. Yeah, understood. It really depends on what kind of app do you have and what kind of testing do you require in this case, and where do you draw the line between real data versus mock data as well. The more components that you integrate that you want to be part of your test, the more complex it becomes. So even if it's blockchain, I think keep your tests to the concept like, okay, I'm calling this controller or this service, was this function called or not, or did this happen or not. More or less, that's how you would test it. For example, you could retrieve some XYZ data from blockchain. If it's coming in this particular response, do I do this? And if not, then do I throw an error, or does my function throw an error or not? So those kind of tests you would want to put in there, but I can't go into a lot more detail than this. But if I end up doing anything with my project PulseChecker, I'm definitely gonna create a video of that. All right, let's run the script. So we are going to create all the questions and all their feedbacks as well now. This is going to be exciting. So we go inside, create the comment question, create the paste question, and you can see comment question created, paste question created. So now this is the comment question for this project. This is the paste question for this project, which has a configuration as well. And now what I need to do is I want to create the responses. So I'm going to go inside here. I'm going to create the responses array. Then I'm going to get the feedbacks. But I should have gotten the feedbacks. Okay. Because here we have a problem right here, because now it's getting all the feedbacks. So I should only be getting the feedbacks of this project and not for everything. So first of all, I'm going to have to stop this because we made a blunder. So let's quickly try to run this. So we still get 2. So we're going to have to delete those. Let's run this. We should have deleted 2. Okay, so this should rather say where, and here we should say where the project ID matches what we have. So session project ID is project.id. So now we are only getting the feedbacks of this project that we are talking about. We're not getting all the feedbacks all the time for all the projects, which is important. Why do I have paste question here? Ooh, look at that, another problem. So question ID becomes paste question ID for paste response. Feedback.paste, feedback.session ID, and then this is the same. Okay, cool. I think now we are in a much better shape. Takbir says, thank you, continue on your project. What you how you create logic. I take most help from ChatGPT for creating logic, which is not trigger in my mind. Okay. I think it's either you debug, try. I usually use ChatGPT for the things I already know and I've done a lot of times. So I don't have to spend time doing the same thing that I've already done, and I'm not learning anything new. But if I don't know something, then I spend time on it, even if I get stuck for hours. And that's how you learn basically. Okay, so comment question, paste question. It's going to go inside responses. What you can also look into is how I debug. That's much more important than how I, for example, make logic. Okay, so right now it's gonna try to get feedbacks of just matching with this project ID. Okay, so I should get a bunch of feedbacks, just 6 feedbacks. Okay, so this is important. These feedbacks are of sessions that are in this project. We have more people having more projects, but this one just responded with this projects, and we can double check it by looking at the feedback. So we've just got 6 feedbacks. So let's have a look at how many total feedbacks do we have. So if I go and select script and run it, we have about 9 feedbacks, out of which we got 6 only for one particular project, or a session having one in one project. Okay, cool. So then we can also go into each feedback now. So we get one feedback, the first one. The pace is slow, the comment it was too slow. So we create a new response with the comment question with the value of this session ID and the attendee ID. So all the data here seems good to me. So comment response is created, pace response is created, and then we have the comment response right here. This is a new entry in the database. The content has a value, it was too slow. This is the comment. This response is against the question, which is of type comment, which means that we are talking about this thing right here. So this is the question, that is the comment question. This is the question that is a signal question, too good or too slow, good pace, too fast. Now if we look at the pace response, the value is slow, which responds to this one, and that's pretty much it. And it also should have the right question ID, which is the pace question. Good. You can look at the pace. It is of type signals, red, green, blue, or red, green, yellow, and that's good. My camera died, which means I've been online for about 1 hour, 6 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna change the battery of my camera. But let's have a look at the responses for this feedback. So we created 2 responses for the feedback. If I go over it now, I have 2 responses, right? So 6 feedbacks, 2 questions, 6 into 2, basic maths, 12. At the end, I should have 12 responses right here. So let's have a breakpoint removal. And now if I look at the responses, yay, I have 12 responses. So we created 2 responses for each feedback, each question, and now we have 12 responses created. So it will go outside from this function, console log responses, and our lives is easier. And that's pretty much it. Cool. Wait, why does it come here again? Oh, it came from the second project, sorry. Because we have 2 projects, right? Yeah, we have 2 projects. So now this is creating for the second project. Okay, let's have a look at this now. So in here, how many feedbacks do we get for the second project? 3. So as we saw earlier, we had 9 total feedbacks. 6 of them were of one project. The rest of the 3 are from the second project. And this is just localhost. In reality, there are much more. So then that means if there are just 3 of them, then the total responses should be 3 into 2, 6. So let's quickly go there. We should have 6 responses right here. 6 responses. Cool, cool, cool. We hit play. We console log them. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So now if I go to my question and do a select, run it, I have 4 questions for 2 projects. Don't save. Thank you. And then I have responses. This is what I'm more interested in, the responses that we have just created. So here we have a bunch of responses. So we have about 18 responses because we have 9 questions or 9 feedbacks. For all 9, we have 2 responses each, one for paste, one for comments. So now we have all of them right here, which seems nice. So for example, some of them don't have a comment, don't have an answer at all. This is also interesting because then I don't want to create responses for which don't have a comment at all. And this is this is interesting. Okay. That makes sense. I'm also thinking about the way I will query the data in the views, because now that we don't have the question related to each session, I cannot say give me all the questions of this session. I can't do that. But I can say give me all the feedbacks. No. That also doesn't make sense. But each session then should have a question. No, wait a second. Oh, what are we talking about here? I think I have either made a mistake or I have not thought this through. Okay, so when I create a new one, here I would have either the possibility of creating a question. If I create it, it should go into the project. But how do I link that to the session itself? If that makes sense. Because it could be that some of the sessions use the same thing. And it could also be that some of the other ones do not. For example, this is what I'm talking about. So if I have, scroll back to content, that's not the content. So here we have a project and we have a session. And we also then have, for example, responses. Response. Then we also have questions as well. So let's say that we got the question on the project level. So let's say this guy is right here. We have this one. We have this one. Then we also have a question. Houston question. So a project or a question has a project ID. If I come here and create a new question, I would be creating a question inside the project. But I think this should not be a question, but rather a question template. Now that I think about it. And I'm still thinking. Because in reality, each session has a question, or each session has a bunch of questions. If I look at here, these should, because when I try to, what I'm trying to say is, let's say we have two different windows open. One this and one this. What happened? Is my server dead? Yeah, it is. Let's open this. npm start. So if I have two different sessions open, I can't say give me all the feedbacks of the session and then give the questions of those responses, because some people might not have given responses to some of the questions, which is not ideal, if that makes sense. So then we are talking about, if I then make a question template, then I would also have to have a question right here, which should then have not a project ID, but a session ID, a template ID, question template ID. The response essentially should have the question ID and the rest of the stuff that we already have. But I'm thinking, if I delete a template, should I also be deleting all the questions? No, I should not be deleting all the questions in that case. If I delete a template, I will not be able to see existing templates in that case, or existing questions in that case. But then if I'm creating a new field, should that automatically become a template, or the user has to add that as a template? That's what I'm thinking at the moment. Think. Okay, I think what we need is, if I create, then I think the session rating stuff becomes the question, and the rating becomes the response. So then we are not actually reducing the database as much as we thought, but will still be better than what we did before. So what I'm trying to say is, we either say that the questions belong to the project, or we say the template belongs to the project and the question can be built on top of a template. I think if we keep it that way, it becomes much easier, because if I ever open a session, let's say, let's go here. Whenever I open the session itself, I should always see all the questions of that session. Now, some session could have 2 questions from the project, 5 questions from the project template, but not all of them, which is, yeah, yeah, I understand now. So this is what we are going to do. We're going to keep this question, but we are not going to have project ID. We're going to have session ID. Okay. That's one thing. If I need to, if I need to bring a question, then I also need to have right here, um I'm thinking, thinking, because I'm thinking what will be the content of a template versus what will be a content of of the actual question. If we create the questions on the project level, the problem that I can think of is validation, because if I'm creating a particular session, can I create, can I select multiple temp or the same template multiple times, creating multiple questions? Rochak Education, thank you so much for the super chat. What do you have in mind for the podcast? What topic do you have in mind? So if we are looking at, I mean, there will be, I can imagine there will be so many problems, because we could use the same template, can create more questions as well, which should be fine. People shouldn't be able to do it. I think if we just use a template, then we are essentially creating a new question in the session using that template. So then it feels like a lot of things from the question template are the same as question. Now, the problem is, should I make 2 different tables for a template and a question? I think yes, because it would save the query time. And if I'm querying, I'm not querying between templates and questions at the same time, if that makes sense. So then let's say I say this is going to be question template. Okay. This is going to be project. This is going to be session level. So session ID, it's going to be session ID, and this is going to be a session. This is going to be a session. And then I need to put this guy into the session as well. So here, we should have questions as well. Questions, question. Okay. So each session has questions. Each question belongs to a session. We're good with that. Each question can be inherited from a template, but I don't think we need to put that information in the question itself, like which template was it inherited from. I think the only purpose of templates is, hey, do I have an existing template that I can use to create a question instead of creating a new question every time, which means that the question template is the one that we are looking at. So I need to go to each project, and instead of questions, I need to say question templates, which is question template, right? This, I think this makes much more sense. So each question template cannot have responses. Okay. So each question template will have an ID, will have a label, will have a question type, will have, I don't think each question would have an order. So I'm going to remove the order. Each question template belongs to a project ID. I don't think it needs to have a disabled. I don't think it needs to yeah, created at, yeah, we can have that. But I think apart from that, we should not be looking at the other things. So Rochak, what kind of podcasts are we talking about? Or what kind of topics are we talking about? Because web dev is very broad. Okay, question template, blah blah blah, type, question type. I I think this is good. I think this is good. But then the question is, okay, the good part is I don't really have to change a lot in this situation. Sort of. But I get the situation in this case. Okay, so we need to do, first we need to now migrate the database. Then we also need to change our script, because then we first need to create the templates. Then we need to create, or we don't really need to create templates, we need to create questions. But we need to create questions against the session and not the project ID, which is okay. So then I want to say, for each project, give me all the feedbacks, okay, of the project. Then when you're creating a comment response, first of all, I need to also run stop the server, and I need to run the npx prisma generate. Okay, so I should have some red things right here. Yeah, exactly, that's what I was talking about. So here for comment question, I need to give the session ID, not the project. That changes a lot of things, but okay, i I think it's good. We'll have to come around in a different way, but we'll look into it. I'm gonna revert this question interface. I'm gonna keep this guy. I'm gonna keep this change that we have just done. Question template, yes. Okay, migrate feedback. I did change a couple of things in here, but now what we need to do, we are going to say, let's get the projects that we have. Let's get the feedbacks in those projects. For each feedback, create a question and answers. So in this case, we are probably doing exactly the same thing. So we get each, we create a comment question against the project. This is going to be, this is not going to work. In here, it's not going to work. So we need to come here, which can't have these. So we're gonna go inside each feedback, but we don't want to go to feedback now. We want to go towards sessions now first. If that makes sense. So we need to first create, yeah, we need to first get all the sessions and then do that. Okay, so first of all, we get all the sessions. So let comment p da, 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 da. So okay, so we we say something like, for each session, for I equals to 0, I less than project dot sessions. No, it wouldn't have sessions. I'm pretty sure here I could do that. So here I could say project dot sessions. No, interesting. Ah, okay, because I don't have that. So here I could say include sessions, true. So I need to get all projects and then all the sessions. Then I would say go in here and do sessions. Can I do it here? Project. Yeah, I can do it here. I'm trying to see where I can do the magic that I want. Okay, so let's do it like this. So then we say project start session for each. We're going to take the session, or we could also say for session of project dot sessions. We want to say create a comment question, create a paste question for each session. So we're going to pass session in here. This should receive a session. This should also receive a session. And in here, we should say session ID, session, session dot ID. The session should come from here, not from inspector. So we got the session ID. We should also have session ID, and this should be session ID. The rest of the things look exactly the same, which is good. Then I should also be looking into here. So yeah, let's have a look. So first of all, we come here, we create a comment question and a paste question for each session. Then what should we do? After we have gotten the comment question and the paste question, we should have this sent inside with the session, comment question, and paste question. I'm just trying to make sense of it. So this means this now has comment question and paste question, which I can just use directly, to be honest. Well, why don't I use that directly? So this one. So here, let's use this guy. The only difference would be that I get rid of this function and I change this to session of type session. Now, when I'm trying to get feedbacks, I'm thinking now. I think then I can just say where the session ID is session.id, and you can include session true. But do I use anything from feedback.session at all? No, I don't. So then I don't even need to have the where. No, the include. I think this should be good. So comment question and paste question. As question comment, as question paste. Signals, sorry. Okay, so in this case, we are talking about the right questions, I assume. All right, let's see if this ends up well. So first of all, we need to delete all of them, or delete at least questions and select. So we do have a bunch of questions. We should also have a bunch of responses. So we go and say select responses as well, which were 18 as far as I remember. Yep. Then we should also have a delete for question. So if I say delete script, I think if I delete the question, the answers should also be removed, right? So if I now run, yeah, the responses are also supposed to be removed when the questions are removed, because we are using cascading delete in that case. So now that we have this done, let's run the script and see if everything works well. But I also would need to run npx prisma migrate. So npx prisma or I should probably be first checking the down migration. So prisma down migration, go here, generate a down migration as such. So let's generate the down SQL, and then we can run and then we can also run the migrate dev command here. And here we can say make question or link question with session add template. Okay, so if we look at the Prisma SQL, we are adding a template now, and we also changed some of the stuff as well. So we're gonna run this command. Okay, and now we can add this down SQL to this, and I think we are good. Okay, awesome. So we did create the Prisma thingy. Now we should be able to run the script as well. So let's run the script. So I'm gonna run migrate feedback. So we came into main. Let's go into inside projects, and let's go to each project's session. We create a comment question, create a paste question, and then we create responses. So we come here, go inside project, we go inside with the session. The session is here. We do have the ID, so we create a question against that session. So we should come out of it with the comment question. Nice, this is good. Then we also do the paste question. Nice, this is also a question. And then we go inside the responses. So we should be creating responses against these questions. So we have the session right here. If I go inside, then we are trying to get all the feedbacks against this session, which is one, which is good. And then we should be creating a response which contains the question, comment question ID. Comment question was the comment, and paste question was the paste. Nice, I like it. We didn't have to change quite a lot and it still works well. Comment response, paste response, responses, blah blah blah, goes out, has responses, which you can see right here. So since we are now going project by not project by project, but session by session, it's gonna take some time. But I think the idea would still be that we'll have 18 responses and 4 questions. No, not 4 questions. Now we're gonna have much more questions, but the responses should still be 18, I think. So let's have a look at how many questions do we end up with. This one is responses. There we go. How many responses do we have? Why do I have this? Yeah, so 18 is still good. Okay, so we still have 18. We sorry, give me 1 second. Need to bring this a bit down. Cool. Now let's have a look at how many questions did we generate. I since we had 2 questions per project, before it was just 4 all in all, but now since we have each against each session, we will look into how many sessions we have and then twice of those essentially. So if I look at the sessions at the moment, we have 13 sessions, which means we should have 26 questions at the moment. Project ID doesn't exist. Of course it doesn't. Session ID. Yeah, 26. Cool. So we created a question for each single comment or each single session. So 13 sessions made it 24 questions or 26 questions, sorry. And then the feedbacks is still the same. I think that we can ignore still, because we still have responses. If I look at here, I think we still have responses which have empty values like this one. We don't want those to be created, I think, so we can remove those. I mean, it would just be yeah, it wouldn't be, if there's no comment, then there's no comment. To be honest, we don't need to create a comment, I think. Should we not? If we don't have an answer, we don't have an answer. If one particular question is required, then you would have to then you would have to give, and I don't have a question schema that says required, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I don't. Now I need to do one more migration. Okay, we'll look into it. So let's run the delete again. So delete from public question should delete 26, should have also deleted all the responses. Yay. I would also have to I'm thinking. Sorry, Rochak, I didn't see your message. I think we should talk about like what is the front end, back end, how to choose framework wisely. As Okay, do one thing. Find me on LinkedIn and just send me a message. I'm gonna share with you my LinkedIn account. Da, da, da. I also needed to make a coffee, and I did not. So this is my LinkedIn account. Send me a message there and we can discuss this further. Also do share your channel where you are going to post, and also share the expected audience that you think would be joining us. Okay, Alrighty. I'm thinking if I should create a new migration script or should I leave it, because I don't want to create more migration scripts today, to be honest. So I want to make sure I have whatever is required. We'll remove the project in question from there. So schema.prisma required. I think this is decent. I think I would not require any changes. So if we think about, we could also have something like a description for each question. um I think we should have that. um it could be, it could have a description, it may not have a description as well, it depends. So I'm gonna have this as optional. Is there anything else? Configuration is JSON type, so I think this should be good. Cool, awesome project, sounds good. So we have question right here. Da, 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 da. Oh, we haven't reached the ratings part yet. The options, we looked into it. The ratings part, we haven't looked into it yet. But here we could have, oh, but we also have one issue. That is a question, no. Okay, so the question template is not related with anything at all apart from the project, right? Good, good, good. Because each question template should be inside a project, but we do not have to link question. It's good we are not linking it, because if we did link it, then we would have to have that as an optional theme as well. So each question can be generated from a template. We don't necessarily need to say which template or which template should we be using. Okay, good. So we're good. So we're gonna keep it as it is. Let's run a migration, and then we can quickly generate the questions again. So let's run this. So we have a down SQL now. This one essentially changes or adds the description column, also adds the required column in question as well. Now we can run this. Did I also change anything else? It feels like I changed something, but I no, it was required and the description. Okay. The this add required and description to question. Okay, let's run that. Okay, and we can move the down SQL right here, move it. We also got the client generated as well. What happened to this? Ah, did we not make required default? Default is false, right? Description is optional. Why are you crying? Ah, okay, because we added one more. Okay, 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 got you. Okay, so then I need to update the my library. Interfaces, question interfaces, and this should be required and description, I think. But then shouldn't it also be description, right? I think so. It should be description as well. Can't I take these this out into a type? Type config exclusions. If I use this, what would happen? Would it still work? Oh, fancy. Okay, that's good. So this is nice. We can use it once and make it pretty. Okay, so then let's create the questions again, right? So let's quickly go, and one thing that I also wanted to add was if there is no if there's no answer, then we don't create a comment response. Okay. Let's see. So here we can say if feedback dot comment. If it's not there, then we have a null. Otherwise, we have this. Okay. Then we can also say comment responses dot push comment response, and then we can also push the paste response. Okay. If we don't have a comment, then we say null. Otherwise, we do this. And the pace always is set to good in most of the cases. Alrighty, let's do this. So we don't have any response. We don't have any questions. So we run the script and we generate those, and then we'll call it a day. It has been quite some time. So let's see. This is this. The numbers would look a bit different, but I think the rest of the stuff looks probably the same. Feedbacks, data. So the responses should have on 0 and 1 or 2 responses. So this one is a comment and the other one is a paste. Okay, cool. I'm gonna do this. Let's have a look at the generated data. So now I should have all the questions still, so 26 questions. The responses, however, should not be 18 now. As far as I remember, was it 18? I think maybe it was 18 because I had 9 feedbacks. So now it's 16. So the 2 that we had, which had empty comments, they are not created. That's good. Cool. So I think this is really good. It's funny that I thought we might progress more compared to what we did last time, but we are actually at the same level. Things have improved. We have gotten more clarity about templates on how we want to use them, and this is really a good segregation as well. I think we should be able to, in the next stream, we should be able to work on the session rating. We're getting closer. To be honest. That's good. Alrighty, so I'm gonna commit this. We did generate all of this. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna quickly add git add git commit feed questions responses work in progress, or we could also say work in progress, or let's just say Add question template and modify questions. Question template table created. Change relation of question from project to session. Modified the script to correctly generate questions and responses. I think this is a good summary. This is what I'm proud of. It's nice. I like it. Okay, cool. Alrighty, I'm gonna push it as well, and then I'm gonna go away. So thank you everyone who has joined us today. I'm gonna go make some coffee, then I'll go to sleep. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye bye.